John again, talking to you from the Tesla parking place. So today I had the opportunity to attend the Smart Series seminar on autonomous vehicles driving the future of the Research Triangle region. It was up in RTP. It was from 8 till 10 a.m. this morning. It was a very informative meeting. The speakers, the moderator was John Hodges Koppel from Triangle J Council of Government, Bo Memory, the NC Turnpike Authority, Missy Cummings, the Human and Autonomy Laboratory of Duke University, John Brickenbach, the Real-Time Innovation of Real-Time Innovations, which is a Silicon Valley company with offices in the Triangle. The event description was, North Carolina is leading the way in the development of smart cities and smart transportation technologies. One technology set to take center stage as the cities of the future emerge across our state is autonomous/automated vehicles. The Research Triangle region is home to organizations making significant strides in all aspects of this technology, from research to policy and even deployment. So that was the premise of the meeting. The four speakers each addressed an area. I'm going to share my interpretations about what was said and try to do it from the point of view of a Tesla owner. I'm going to post the slides from the present are going to be made available on the website. We will put that in the description. Don't know when those will be, so you might have to check back to get the slides. Also, I'm going to try to, obviously this is a paraphrase of what was said. I'm going to try to say that, give their opinions and not my opinions, although I'm sure my commentary is going to get mixed in, but I'll try not to do that. The first and probably I want to call it the main theme is that the adoption of autonomous vehicles is coming. And from a Tesla owner point of view, it's not coming as quickly as Elon said in the opinion of the panelists. Elon said that in a couple years you'll be able to drive autonomously. Of course, he did qualify that and say, that this does depend on regulators. But he also implies that Model 3 owners, for example, could possibly join the Tesla car sharing network, and their self-driving cars will help generate revenue, so that will help pay for your Model 3. Now, the speakers did not talk about that point. However, they made it reasonably clear from my interpretation of what they said that is not going to happen before probably 2035. They felt 2030 to 2035. Now, that's not to say that there isn't going to be autonomous driving, but the ability to turn your car loose and it autonomously drive around the city making you money, they just pretty much said that's a pipe dream, at least for the foreseeable future. The couple points that were made by John Koppel there, Hodges Koppel, he pointed out a couple good things that why he feels this way. First is that 1 in 5 cars on the road today are at least 11 years old. So 20% of the cars are 11 years old or older. 14% of the cars are 20 years or older. So people hang on to cars quite a while. Now, the adoption of battery electric or electric transportation, Elon's goal or Tesla's goal is to accelerate the adoption of sustainable transportation. That is not a requirement for autonomous driving. You can have an autonomous ICE car, but again, since I'm interpreting this from the Tesla point of view, the panel themselves did not talk EV versus ICE car. They were talking just simply autonomous vehicles. But they felt that people hang on to cars longer. The cultural aspects of a self-driving car that we haven't even begun to talk about. They did touch on, you know, the fact that being able to turn your car over, go to sleep, and go arrive at your destination. That is not a likely scenario anytime soon. Again, they said they felt like 4 to 5 million cars will be autonomous. Just to let you know, there's over 17 million cars sold globally a year. I wish, I'm going to go out and say that I think that 4 to 5 million they were talking about in the US, but that could have been globally. The bottom line is they felt 2035, it's possible somebody on your street might actually have an autonomous car. But the mass adoption of personal autonomous vehicles is way off. Missy Cunningham's from Duke University. She was, in my opinion, the key speaker. She did an excellent job. She's she graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy. She's a former naval fighter pilot. She's got her master's degree and then her PhD, I think, was from MIT. So she's very well educated. Her entire career after the Navy has been with autonomy. She's the head of the Human and Autonomy Laboratory at Duke. She's very outspoken. She felt that the challenges for self-driving, they're very difficult to solve. Elon has a different opinion. No technology discussions about LiDAR versus radar or how many sensors or how many, none of that was brought up. They were not into the implementation. It was just pure policy output is there going to be self-driving cars? Missy saying it's a harder problem to solve than people expect. Now, she did also say that level 4, which is autonomous driving in a restricted environment, like possibly on an interstate highway, possibly on certain roads, that's very likely and could happen soon. Her example specifically, she felt very possible is going to happen sooner, is the stop and go driving scenario where you can totally give up control to the car and stop and go traffic under 25 miles an hour. You can watch YouTubes, you can play video games, you don't have to do anything, that the car will be allowed in that scenario to totally drive itself without any operator intervention. But once you get to 25 miles an hour, then you as the operator will have to then start monitoring the car, level 3 type autonomy. She was passionate about two things. It came through very clearly. The first thing is that North Carolina is making some missteps when it comes to promoting autonomous driving testing. In other words, we're especially here in the Research Triangle area, we have a lot of research university. We're very technology. You could almost say we're Silicon Valley East. She felt there are steps that the NC legislature are doing that is going to actually drive that autonomous business out of the state. She was very concerned about that, so she was quite clear on that point. The second point, which gets back to the adoption, this 2035, and the difficulty is that they have done simulations, putting people in driving simulators, and after they have basically came up with it about 8 minutes. After a person is in a self-driving car where it's driving itself, after about 8 minutes they no longer are paying attention. They're off doing their cell phone or basically totally distracted, and that the concept of a couple beeps, and then you instantly hand the car back to the driver and expect them to react to avoid an accident situation. She said that's totally undoable. We can't allow that, which of course effectively is what Tesla is doing currently. So she was not positive. That was not the type of technology she felt that is of any use. Let's see. Her reluctance, or her saying that North Carolina legislature is not doing what they need to do. She never specifically said what House or Senate bill she was concerned about, but I did do some research after the seminar, and I believe she's talking about North Carolina Senate Bill 469, I'm sorry, House Bill 469 or Senate Bill 367. These basically lay out some autonomous driving rules. I read it, and it didn't sound bad, but she was pretty adamant that she felt the legislature was taking a wrong step here and that this was going to prevent it. So I'm thinking she knows more about what the legislature is talking about than I do. So although on the surface it sounds good to us, Senate Bill 460, House Bill 469 or the Senate 367, she had some severe reservations about it, felt like that's a misstep. So I'm going to yield to her, and so keep an eye for those. Another thing, another of the speakers was Bo Memory. He's with the NC Turnpike Authority, and just quoting here, it says the North Carolina Turnpike Authority, which is the world-class facility, partnerships, and in research, is proud to serve as a designated automated vehicle proving ground. Acting Transportation Secretary Mike Holder said, "We are committed to ensuring the safety of the traveling public and the state's highways, and as we test this technology." What this is that the NC Turnpike Authority has been is one of 10 roadways that has been designated by the government, the federal government, as a test site for autonomous technology. And I would say that Bo was totally committed to this. It's 18.2 mile stretch. We have drove it often. Marianne and I have drove this often. It's a very nice road. It's very modern, smooth, wide lanes, things of that nature. There's a camera, numerous cameras. Basically, the entire 18-mile stretch, you're covered by camera. They have a control center that is monitoring the traffic. People are watching traffic cameras constantly there 24/7. They have sensors in the roadway that can tell if a car is going the wrong direction, so they are driving on the wrong side of the road. They have a lot of technology there. I guess this is my opinion now. I think he might be missing an opportunity here. Based on everything that I heard from nobody at this conference talked about, they talked about autonomous driving as it's just the car. That all you need for autonomous driving is technology in the car. I don't think that's right. I think to get to level 5 technology, autonomy, I think it's going to need vehicle to vehicle. One vehicle is going to have to talk in real time, not through the cloud, but I mean local area type communication to the vehicle in front of it, to the side. I think the autonomous vehicle is going to need to talk to the roadway. It needs to know that there's a traffic signal up here and it's on this cycle and there's a backup, or the left turn signal is on. I think all those types of things are going to have to occur for true autonomy. This is one of the reasons why I personally feel that level 5 autonomy is years away, because the infrastructure for roads and for vehicle-to-vehicle communications and roadway-to-vehicle communications is just not in place. And based on everything I heard, they haven't even thought about it. John Hodges' couple with the Triangle J Council of Governments did talk about some of the impacts of self-driving autonomous vehicles, like maybe you won't need so many parking places, or maybe we'll need more parking places. Possibly the lanes in the road, instead of being really wide, they could be much narrower because the cars be positioned much more accurately. All those types of things are all possible, and they did talk on those. They talked a little bit about the other aspects that would have to change for autonomous vehicles to take over, that although they've been touched on, I don't think anybody talks a lot about them. You know, you hear about the ethics and the liability, but just the, you know, pragmatic, how much is my insurance going to cost? Elon has talked about if the insurance companies don't correctly reward the reduction in risk of self-driving cars, that Tesla might get into the insurance business. So they touched on a lot of things. They covered it. My takeaway is that they're all very, absolutely, it's a done deal. We're going to have autonomous vehicles in the future. We can debate, is it going to be 2020, 2025, 2035? They were basically, because of all these other factors, that is not just the technology in the car, that it's going to be longer, which I guess is technically covered by Elon's statement that it's going to be based on regulatory approval. I mean, before the regulators approve something, a lot of changes, cultural, societal, infrastructure changes are going to happen. Doesn't say that there won't be autonomy, like in trucking and certain aspects of industry might be much quicker to adopt. But for you to have your personal vehicle, for your vehicle to make you money by picking up your friends and family and driving them around, that they felt, again, it's just not anytime soon. Possibly maybe well after you've made your last Model 3 car payment, you might be able to do it. But if you're expecting your Model 3 to help pay for itself, that doesn't seem to be a reality. And I have to say, my personal opinion also is I think there will be plenty of level 4 autonomy, but level 5 is still many years away. Anyway, I hope this. Another one of the speakers, John Breitenbach with Real Time Innovation, he made a couple very interesting points. He said that a autonomous vehicle generates approximately 10 gigabytes of data per mile. That's a lot of data, and that data, a lot of it stays local to the car, and they have technology to help move that data around inside the car, from the sensor to the camera to the radar to the control management module. He said, but they also have technology that moves it up to the cloud. His company basically has coined the term carbot. They feel like instead of saying autonomous vehicle, they just prefer to say carbot, because they view the car as a mobile robot. The other part, you know, although I support Elon's vision, I think there's going to be adoption of autonomous driving, and obviously I'm really a big supporter of electric vehicles. I'm thinking it's going to be a while. I think probably my stepsons are 12 and 14. Certainly they, in their early adulthood, maybe not right out of college, but in their early adulthood, they probably will buy and have an autonomous car. That's one of the other things that was pointed out, that young people today are not car crazy like they were when I was a teenager. I'm a kind of a car guy. You know, I worked on cars as a teenager. You know, I couldn't wait to get my license. You know, the day I turned 16, I ran down there and got my driver's license, and most of my buddies did the same thing. But you know, kids nowadays, that's not necessarily a goal. And you know, as I said, Elon is very pro autonomy, self-driving. We chose on our X not to get the full self-driving. We chose just to get the autopilot or the enhanced driving features, but not the full self-driving. If it does come out, because the Tesla has over-the-air updates, we'll be able to purchase that full self-driving, and we shouldn't have to replace our car. Elon's promised that the Autopilot 2 hardware is going to be capable of full level 5 autonomy. Even if, we're planning to hold on to this car, hopefully I'll still be around in 2035. So if we are, I'll probably definitely be having it carry me down to the bingo parlor and doctor's office, all those things 85-year-old people do. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.